Construction site health and safety. This is Jonathan Cunningham from Storm. We're here in the most beautiful backdrop of Southport. You see on this beautiful, clear, crisp winter's day, you see some fantastic sights. In the next 3 to 5 minutes, I'm just going to take you through some key considerations for construction site health and safety. Like most things, there's no rocket science to it. It's just managing the significant risks that you face. So it's not coming in with some draconian clipboard and stopping everyone working. That's what it's not about. So the first things you do, just make sure that you have adequate risk assessments in place. And this is really focusing on the stuff that really is going to hurt people. Stuff like that, which is working at height particularly, and making sure that staff are suitably trained. So it's making sure that the scaffolding is put up by a competent contractor, that it has a suitable scaff tag, and that the staff and personnel are suitably work height and working at heights trained. The next thing that's going to sort of kill people is vehicle and pedestrian movement. A number of sites, this can be particularly hazardous, particularly as forks, telelifters and telehandlers start to manoeuvre around sites. So make sure you have demarcation between these. Additional things, there's also things falling from people on height. So this can be the likes of tools, bricks, mortar, anything else like that, falling on people who might be below. So that's why we have good PPE or personal protective equipment, so that people do not get hit on the head, and that's why we have hard hats. Additional things to consider is COSH. That might sound rather strange, but certainly silicosis is one of the biggest killers in this industry, alongside the likes of asbestos. So if you're on site, on a construction site, make sure that your risk assessments do cover asbestos. If you're likely to disturb it or maybe even discover it, make sure that the premises you're working on has a Type 3 or an old Type 3 demolition pre-refurbishment asbestos survey, where you find the stuff, make sure that staff are suitably aware. Additional things that you may wish to make sure is that, just going back to the silicosis, if you're whizzing or if you're cutting any sort of masonry, brickwork, flags, or indeed tiles, you must make sure your staff have face masks, and that ideally you use either diamond cutters or indeed you have it sort of water lubricated to keep the dust down. That's the main reason for that. So what other things should you consider? Make sure you have adequate welfare facilities on your site, suitable enough to make sure you can wash your hands and face up to your elbow, that you have cold running and hot running water, or certainly available, and that you have somewhere clean to eat your food or your butties. On this particular site we're sort of working on here, they're working on lead. This is a very serious occupational hazard. Again, it won't kill you straight away, but certainly it can certainly degrade your quality of life if you do not take adequate measures in place. And so please, if you're handling lead, make sure that you have gloves on and that you wash your hands frequently. If you're a lead worker, you are required to have occupational measuring and regular blood tests to make sure you keep sort of the recommended lead levels in your blood down. Other things on site, make sure you've got adequate loos. You can't be just using a client's loo. Make sure you've got those in place and they are regularly serviced. So there are quite a few sort of considerations. Additional considerations is make sure you've got adequate access and egress, so that when you're coming on site that you have somewhere to sign in. That if you're a new member of staff or indeed a visitor, there is some sort of induction process in place, and that you have a record of that. Make sure you've got a record of regular and frequent safety audits on site, and that there are regular toolbox talks, making sure that people are taking safety seriously, and that safety is regularly highlighted and brought to the fore at every opportunity. But certainly the big things you may wish to consider is working at height, asbestos, silicosis is certainly a big one. Trenches as well is also a key consideration. If any trench work, make sure it's over a metre or over in terms of depth, that it is adequately shored up. So that just gives you a few considerations. If you want any assistance, then get in touch with Storm, or indeed just download the free checklist, as you see here, but it's been great. Storm Consultancy UK.com, and we'll see you soon.